Yay.
Everything's volume.
Alright.
Let's try this
Cheers.
experiment. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Grab a beverage.
Mine's empty. Alright. Welcome to our fireside chats. There is a fire in our hearts.
And in a dumpster.
And in the sky.
On the sun.
Dumpster.
This is actually an AC side chat.
Yeah.
There's air conditioning right there.
Yeah, there's no actual fire here at all this time.
So
Thank goodness.
the modern technology.
Yeah.
I am super happy that everything like crashed, or that actually like temperature crashed today. Actually,
Yeah, this is a good day to do this.
Oh,
yeah,
man, so
because man,
good.
if it was still hot, I might have been like, yo guys.
We would have
Yo,
been
guys.
like, we would have needed to have the cameras kind of do a 360 because we'd all be like just like splayed out.
Oh, man.
Which is
You
like,
guys
I would just
generate
record on
some
the
vibe.
hill, be like, okay, tell me about combat.
That'd be fun.
You don't do it when it's this hot.
Yeah, no.
I don't know, fucking
We were
figure
gonna
it
go-
out.
I almost feel like we'd pull out a bunch of kiddie pools and be sitting in water.
Ooh.
Kiddie pool chat.
Next time.
Next time. Because it'll probably be hot in July.
It will be hot in July.
Kiddie pool chat.
Kiddie pool chat.
We can get our hands
You're a
on
genius.
this.
I need to, you know, I should get some for my party anyways. That's good.
Yeah,
From fireside to AC side to pool side.
that's right.
Anyhow.
That spot in your creek on site where the tree is,
It's
where
true.
it's perfect. We could put lawn chairs in that and just sit in the river.
With a little like case of beer.
Riverside.
Like,
Uh-huh.
oh my god, I love it.
We're classy.
We
Yeah,
are.
so,
So last
inch.
So last time I know we were going to go over combat basics. We didn't get to. We are going to be posting those videos. Megan has some adorable ones. And then this weekend we are going to swing by the combat practice to kind of get some videos that involve groups for group combat. So we'll get those done and posted. But today we're gonna go over our social calls, our terms. We're gonna go into the organization and downtime system a bit. We're gonna chat about two of our cultures. We're gonna do Hesha and Nemien. And then there were a couple questions that were posted in the event, so we'll hopefully get to those and answer those as well. So
Yeah. Do you want to start with social?
we may as well. Let's start at the top.
Yeah.
So there are 3 different kinds of social things we have, and those are ethos, pathos, and logos. Which one's your favorite?
My favorite is actually pathos.
Same.
Yeah. Just in like broad sweeping terms, like ethos is super effective. It is, intimidating. It's immediate.
It's the dictator power.
It is. It's very much like I am wielding my force of personality and authority right now. Logos
See,
is
standing up in front of combat and saying, "We will prevail," and everyone going, "Yeah!"
yeah, or like you're going to do this because I said so.
Right.
Yeah. Obviously.
Don't you know who I am?
Yeah, don't you know who I am? And they're all great for different reasons and for different things. Like ethos, I can totally imagine being a social power that can be used in combat.
Yeah.
Pretty easily, but and logos is kind of more like changing people's minds, the strength of your arguments.
It's also our infogathering powers, isn't it?
No, that's pathos.
Oh, you're right. It's
Yeah.
Which is why I love it so much.
That's why you like pathos. Okay.
Yeah, pathos is
It's
you're
like,
changing.
tell me your secrets.
Tell me your secrets, and it's changing hearts. Logos is changing minds, and pathos is changing your heart. And I like that.
We do have lovely videos done by Virginia and
Sybil.
Sybil. Thank you. My name just went. Psh.
Yep.
Um,
I'd love to redo those.
Oh, I think they're lovely.
They're great.
Perfect.
They're great.
But if you don't know what they are, the ethos symbol is a closed fist. If you're going to disregard it, you're going to shake it away in a way that's not sexual.
Yeah. Totally
Like
not
windshield wipers, not.
Which,
Please, vertical. And a little bit.
With the elbow,
Please.
not the wrist. Elbow,
I do
not
it
the
with
wrist.
the wrist. I'm
I
sorry,
think-
guys. I'm sorry.
I feel like it kind of depends on like the attitude you're trying to
You
portray.
have a hole in your hand, that's why.
What?
It's
Oh.
a fist.
What?
If you have the limp wrist, it really helps.
It's been nice talking to you guys. I'm gonna head out.
Signing off.
Logos is our thumbs up, which also disregard is, gonna go for a ride.
Get out of here.
Get out of here.
Go on.
And then pathos is tapping to our hands and heart. And disregard just like
Yeah, that's right.
Be gone.
But it doesn't necessarily have to be on the heart. It
Yeah.
has to be somewhere visible on
it's
the
true.
body.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you have something that you don't want to tap, we don't want to like lock it to one area. It can be here. It can even be here on some of them.
If you
But
have arrhythmia, we don't want you slapping your heart.
Yeah.
Well, more for like if you have like costuming or some sort of ability
Sure.
issue, you can tap someplace else. if
Upon
needed.
thy forward-facing body.
Tap thy 2 fingers.
We
to
do-
disregard, brush it away.
all of our calls also have a verbal component, and we do want you to use both of them, and that's because it's a signal of what you can, what power you're using, as well as saying it, and that way it's very, very clear. We want you to say what it is, say the things like it'd be pathos. We should probably pull up a good example of one of them actually.
Yeah. Could,
Yeah, and just having the symbol also allows the person who you're using it on to know what their defense would be.
Mhm,
exactly.
So if they only have the first level, the first 2 levels or something, they know how to defend themselves.
Yeah, and that's why it's important, because initially when we were designing these abilities, we were kind of thinking that it could just be, a gesture and that would communicate it. But the thing is there is a defense specifically for each flavor of it, and you need to be able to communicate the call as well as the flavor. So the gestures are like the flavor, and the call is letting the recipient know what they're supposed to be doing. Because our system is kind of robust and it's got each skill does something different. So it's not like you've got 3 uses of intimidate or something. It's that each level of logos does a different thing. So we need to have the call to communicate what to do, and then the delivery method.
For example, if we're doing advocates, which is our intellect thing within logos, we would go ahead and you would say, the call for this one is feel stronger, weaker about feeling. So like Nicole over there is really upset. I want to be like logo or feel stronger about how much you hate this.
There was one example where it was at the beta and my captain NPC wanted everyone in the tavern to listen, and I don't remember if it was like pathos listen to me or something real loud, and then someone, I think it was Denise in the back of the room, was like, disregard. I go, wait, really? Can she do that? She's like, yeah. And I was like, oh well,
Nice.
damn, good one.
You got me.
Because we do have the group variants where you're kind of supposed to like broadly with
yeah.
both
It's-
hands
Yeah.
so that it's very clear like this is for all y'all, just like right here.
And that's just a trend. But the thing is, people might not see you. People might. So it's always good to also, if you want to, you can go ahead and say it as well. Be like, group.
Yes, exactly. I when I say this, I mean all of you. Like, yeah.
Yeah. We didn't have any other notes specific on social, except for the fact that they're supposed to be very clear to understand. We try to design it, and when testing, it seems like it's accurate. It's like the verbal call tells you what to do.
Yeah. Because essentially, like for simplicity's sake, like it's the recipient that needs to understand what's going on, which is why we tried to make it where the call gives specific instructions. Essentially, feel this, tell me this, like fear. Like it's supposed to be that very clear on the recipient.
Although to clarify, the call itself is sort of an out of character thing. So if someone watching the conversation, they won't know you just used pathos on someone to rile them up.
That's a very good point. That is a very good point. Yeah.
And there are probably some people who very much study the minutia of these skills of to their character, and like you said, it's on the person who knows the stuff to give it to the people who may not, because they can't spend time studying your character as well.
Yeah.
So it's only fair.
On the note, it's always okay to go out of character and ask a question.
Yes.
We didn't all the time.
Yeah.
we
Please do.
will be doing it all the time. And I think it might be worth mentioning too that like these are not like magical powers. These are meant to represent skills where this is a character that is, you know, highly talented in observation, in information gathering, in making you change your mind, in you know, talking you up or calming you down. Like this is meant to be like, you know, these are social skills.
Just
It's
like
not,
just like a parry is meant to represent the thing I wasn't actually able to do.
Yeah.
So too is a social call. I wasn't able to convince you with my words, so I had to use the power.
yeah. yeah.
So role play appropriately, but it's not mind control at the same
Yeah.
time.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And again, you can have a disregard like someone else can if you just purchase the first level.
Yep. Just
So,
starts at the first
If,
level.
if you're like, hey, I'll get you, and no,
And then run.
Yeah.
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 And
Because
you can only use one power per conversation unless it says so otherwise.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Yeah.
So disregard and get the heck out of it.
Yeah.
Disregard and then leave the situation
Disregard and disappear.
if you can. It's not always easy to.
No, that's entirely the point. It's like it's harder to get out of a social situation when there's like 3 people there. So
Exactly.
like God, you're like, oh, now it's not okay anymore for me to just like be like, ah.
Yeah, especially if it's like a formal meeting or something.
Ooh.
Like you can't exactly be like and good day. I mean, you can. It's just there's repercussions to that.
Yeah.
Like yeah.
I'm now picturing someone getting up and storming out every few minutes. Like, okay, it's a new conversation now.
Yeah, it's like,
All right, I'm back.
And another thing.
Like, and I'm not gonna probably take that person very seriously. I'm like, do you have a bladder control problem? Like,
I've
what
taken
is going
my
on?
nappy, and I'm ready.
Like, yeah.
Just gonna go get coffee for the table. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, I've refreshed.
See-
New.
I almost feel like you'll have a problem with this because that sounds like you're.
Exactly.
So our next question was on states versus conditions, and we had to go through and we had to clear out a bunch of our own site being a little bit incorrect.
Yes.
They're all called in the patch notes, but basically, what is a state versus what is a condition?
Yes.
Okay,
And most things are states, like most of them. And we have on the terms page like kind of a big list of examples of states. There's only like 2 things that are conditions, I think.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Basically, a state is exclusive to your health. It remains until it's explicitly changed.
Yes.
Certain states have specific ways to get out of them. For example, bleed is a state that's fixed with bandage.
Yep.
That's the explicit change. Weaken is a state that is fixed with sleep, as well as other powers.
Yeah.
Terror is fixed by getting out of the way of.
Well, there's more complex ways to fix terror, but
yeah. But it's good
Yeah.
to know that you brought up terror because like
I don't think it's
terror is a state,
Mhm.
you know, and so that basically means that it persists until the end of the event, unless you fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And to be clear, terror is not that you have to leave the situation. It's that you cannot use
What was that, fear?
neither one actually.
So fear is a state in which a character cannot use skills against the source of the fear. So for example, if I'm scared of Chantel over here, I can't use any of my skills against her because she's so dang scary.
But she
Terror-
can stab me all she wants.
Yeah. Terror, meanwhile, is a state in which I cannot use skills in the presence of the source of terror.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Chantal has scared me so much, I can't use any of them.
Yeah. Like
As long as she's around. So
Yeah.
it doesn't force you to leave, but it gives you incentive to leave.
Oh, yeah, no, I was just saying it'll persist until you get out of there,
It will
not
actu-
it forces you
It
away.
actually will still persist even after you leave.
Yeah,
Yeah, 'cause
so
I
if,
come
Yeah.
back
if
into the room.
Chantal like
Yeah.
comes back in the room, you're scared again. So
Then you're not very good at running away.
That's true. You're really good. This is actually a really good thing to bring up, though, because it's different than how it was in TLA.
yes.
And
yeah.
it's good to like note that some of our we wanted our states to be a little bit more lasting, but they also always end up being the game.
Yeah. And the rationale behind it is we've put skills and rituals and potions and things in game that will fix these things. But so the stakes kind of need to be high in order for those skills and potions and rituals to be useful.
Yeah.
And so they are.
yeah.
Double checking a question.
Yeah.
Chantel's really scary, right?
It's
And
true.
She comes into the tavern on Friday night and uses some horrible power and inflicts terror on everyone who's in there. So that the people in the tavern cannot use skills in Chantel's presence. And then she goes back to NPC camp because it's Friday night and there's things on fire and she needs to fix it. Saturday at lunch she comes back in. Those people are still affected by terror in her presence,
Yep.
right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Unless
She's-
they've gone through the steps
She's
to fix the
in
terror.
reaction to this because it's actually more normal. If someone scared is freaks the fuck out of you the night before, you're still gonna be worried about them the next day.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't at the end of the event. You have a month, you can get over your fear of Chantel. But
Hasn't worked for me so far.
but we also
Chantel's not real. She
but I also
Can we edit me out of the video?
just like a wine
I don't
glass.
think disembodied voice.
Yeah, I don't know if I have enough time. We're gonna post it. I do know though, like we talked about fear and terror, and we didn't like the flee mechanic. We wanted you to be able to be afraid and actually revel in your fear versus having to get out and dodge.
Yeah.
So you can choose to flee. That's a perfectly reasonable thing to Chantel being scary.
Well, and it can also like lead to some cool cinematic stuff too. Like, I may not be able to fight Chantel effectively, but I can still like shield Nicole from Chantel. Like I'm not leaving, but this is so fucking scary. Chantel's the worst.
And it also gives some agency of like, they might be terrified of her, but there are ghouls outside, so having to flee is a suicide mission, and you're not stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's also and there's some powers like I know is it a paladin or a mithrite power where you can like be like, no, bro, Chantel's not that scary.
I think it's a
I
paladin.
think it's
Yeah.
something, yeah.
Sounds right.
Yeah. Don't quote me on it. That sounds like a paladin
I'm looking
ability. Which we'll be doing a lot at our betas in particular. We'll be looking stuff up.
Yeah, our
Because
site's big.
we have a very big site, and much like everybody else, on the planet, we've not been LARPing in a very, very long time. And we wrote these rules forever ago.
It's true.
So.
Yeah. And while we've been very, very busy, it's not been revisiting rules so much.
Yeah, except for every time it comes up where it's like, wait, I want to talk about this thing in Aberan. Can someone remind me how fear works?
Exactly.
Then you realize a change has to be made to something.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like, it kind of gives me a sense of like how much time has passed, because we have, during the course of like the shutdown, we basically released like all of our glory concepts, all of them. We released like all of the cultists, all of like their kind of like religious overviews, all the small cults, yeah, all the rituals, like that's all been released in like 2020, and this year so far in 2021 we've kind of been working on more, but there's a lot of stuff that's like been released during this shutdown.
I'm just really excited about the lorks and like finally people when they're playing a cultist of someone they can actually find and read their religious documents.
It's
in
out there.
full.
Yeah. It's out there
It
somewhere.
is out there.
Yep.
This is what usually happens like after you release the core book of a game system, then like years later there's supplements. We've been doing all the supplements.
Yeah, we've been exactly. We've been working on the supplement material. Yeah.
So Mithrites have a remove fear thing. I'm
Okay.
still looking for remove terror.
Okay.
But
Okay.
it's not Mithrites for that.
Okay.
All right.
Um,
And I could be wrong.
I could be wrong too. I just remember that power is someplace. I don't know where it
Yeah.
is. We also talk about miserable. Miserable is a state in which a character cannot have or get hope, which can be resolved with crafted foods.
Yes, crafted foods. So like we've got on the schematics list, like I forget, isn't there like a really good stew?
Hearty
or something?
stew.
Hearty stew.
There's also tea, I think, and there's bear claws.
Yeah, delicious
Bear
bear
claws.
claws.
Bear claws.
Yeah,
They're pastries.
you
They're
know.
pastries, not the.
Oh no,
Yeah.
I got you.
Real
pastries.
bear claws.
The artisan should put actual claw-like structures on them.
Almonds. Almonds.
Yes,
The
but-
claws are almonds.
In
Someone's gonna
online, so
die.
they're big enough.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
This is just a standard jar with
Marzipan.
setting. That's all.
Yeah.
Oh, we also want to talk about injured versus battered.
Yeah. Yeah. So injured is the state where like Megan has just swiped my arm, and it is now injured. So I really can't use that arm. I can't fight with that arm. I can't really lift anything heavy with that arm. That arm is effectively like not functional. When someone then stabilizes that arm
With 5 wraps around of a bandage. If you're normal,
Yeah.
there might be some other
You might be shiny.
fun
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
Once I've been stabilized, whether it's for a body part that's been injured or I've been downed and they're stabilizing me, now I'm battered. And battered can be like, I've been down and you've stabilized me and the whole of me is battered, or it can be that like the limb you stabilized is battered. You know?
And that's actually a very particular thing to note. So, say for example, I am injured. You've gotten my arm, and I've stabilized that. That's different than being down because I can just now only this specific limb is battered.
Yes.
If I have gone down, and then been stabilized, it is assumed that I have a torso stabilization, which means I have a battered torso, which has slightly different rules than battered limbs.
Yeah, and effectively, battered means that you can't use combat skills, and I want to like underline that. So you can't use combat skills.
So the limb, I can't use combat skills with that limb.
Yeah.
So for example, if I got stabbed twice or stabbed over here, and I fixed it, that's fine. I can still use my right arm. But if I have a battered torso, I can't use combat skills at all.
Yeah.
No parrying, but you can intimidate someone so they leave
I was
you
just
alone.
gonna say, yeah.
You can still actually wield the weapon, you just can't use any of the calls.
That's actually really important because our melee. It doesn't take a skill to use a melee weapon in our system, which
Remember,
means
kids, you can just pick something up. You won't necessarily be good at it, but you can.
I can kill a man with a
Unless
sword.
it's a ranged weapon.
and that's good. Melee because
Yeah,
ranged
good
weapons
points.
require a skill to use. Yeah,
Yep.
those are all really good points, Nicole.
Yeah.
Remember important things.
However, so if there's a weird chance where you could still use a ranged weapon when you're battered, and that's if a limb is battered and it's a one-handed ranged weapon.
It's like a gun.
Or a single crossbow. Yes.
Yeah.
Because then this hand's not battered, but this hand's battered.
Do we have bolas?
Like slings.
No.
I have yet to see like a
LARP
LARP
sling.
safe sling.
Yeah.
Perhaps that could be a schematic if someone shows me a LARP safe sling. Like,
Yeah.
I just
That
I
doesn't
can't
exist.
see it. I can't envision that.
There are no lassos of truth either.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But LARP potatoes. Oh
LARP
my god.
potatoes, yes.
We have those.
Oh my god. Like
Also, part of our patch, we added our improvised weapons, and as a note, we added them. They are improvised of a blank thing, and they have a certain skill. So, like, if you want to write an improvised rolling pin, for example. Say you have a rolling pin you want to use. You might use the wooden improvised weapon, medium weapon probably. That's probably what it is. You're like, oh, I want it to be like, what weapon quality do I want it to have? You pick that schematic. It has to be reasonable. A rolling pin's not going to be driving. I'm sorry.
probably not gonna make it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can't have a driving potato.
It might be crushing.
It could be no, you
I
can't
don't
try
know.
potato.
Crushing.
I gotta figure out what a potato would do.
Aha.
Mighty potato.
Someone's
No,
nose.
you are mighty. The potato
you're
is not
right.
mighty.
You're right.
Yes.
There is, mighty is not a weapon quality.
Disarm?
Disarm potato.
Or
Maybe
you
the
could,
potato could disarm you.
you could hold them down, and then if you're smashing their face in, it is crushing. In a sense.
Crushing potato.
But let's table that.
Goes
we will discuss this further.
high velocity
Mashed
potato.
Probably have a little conversation
We're gonna have a
about
whole meeting
Yeah.
about this. Is what we're gonna do.
If you use a crushing potato in combat, does that count as a crafted mashed potato?
No.
God damn
no,
it, Jonah.
it doesn't.
And yes, this is what our staff meeting
There's,
is
there's,
like.
there's a worse question though. Is that's like which crafter makes the potato?
the
Mm.
the herbalists.
They're not a crafter.
They're not a crafter. They're a gatherer. Yeah.
I don't think there is a craft
Wood, wood craft.
We could.
Living wood.
If they're not ripe,
Wood potato.
do potatoes get ripe?
The alchemist. The alchemist. You can make.
All right,
wine out of
I'll
potatoes.
fine. We'll make alchemist potatoes.
Yeah.
I'll add it
Great.
there.
Yeah.
Okay, for organic things, what? Okay, can someone make a note?
I'm
for me?
gonna need a whole new
I got
combat
you.
system around the potato.
No, you don't.
Dropping
It's
that in Slack.
it's just gonna be a thrown weapon. It's fine.
Drop it in Slack.
You got it, boss. You got it.
Let's talk about. On that note, let's talk about despair and cursed.
Speaking of cursed, this is cursed. This is a cursed conversation.
You guys put
That's
up with
true.
so much shit from me. Thank you.
I get one of the important things about cursed is it's a state, so it goes away at the end of the event.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
it's really important to think of curse as being like, it can seem really scary. You've been cursed, but it does go away at the end of the event. There are also rituals. There's a Lorite ritual. There's also a paladin power And I think there's a couple other things that may not be on the site just yet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
For example, there are suppressants in the herbalism system.
Yeah.
That's right.
There's also things that fix things, so yeah. But like the way you get hurt. So, that's a good question. I have the answer. It's all rites are officiated by the affected or where the affected is a target of the rite gain 1 vulgarity, and they cannot use prayer or confidence. Specifically, they can't use the second level of confidence. They can still lose their auto 1 when they lose every game. They just can't do the second one where like, hey, let me tell you the sins I did so you can make me feel better.
Yeah. Yeah, you can like justify your sin to yourself if you are faith in self, but you can't
If you're cursed.
Yeah.
Can't
But
get the
if you're
validation of your
cursed, you just
peers.
can't get that validation. Exactly. Validation of your peers.
Yeah, and I believe the vulgarity double stacks if you are faith in self. So if you
Yeah.
faith in self, having rituals done on you, and you're cursed, that's 2 vulgarity auto, even if they do the ritual perfectly.
Bad sign.
That's
It's really
rough.
hard. Yeah.
It's bad stuff. Don't do that.
Yeah. Someone
Makes
does
God
not
mad.
like you. Someone
Tempt
does
those
not-
You
divine
don't
wrath
like them,
rolls.
they don't like you back.
They do not
The
like
gods are like,
you.
whoa.
Makes every god mad.
Yeah.
That's, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know.
When you flip off God,
I'm not
God
picturing-
flips back.
Well, more
For
so
some reason, I'm now picturing gods having like a book club and they sit down and be like, you won't believe what Chantal did.
Well, she's right out.
I'm thinking,
Like, right
mostly
out.
like I'm like putting a brand on your head. It's like cursed. Everyone's like, oh, I'm not gonna touch that.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
no.
Oh.
Blackballed.
No more rituals for
Unfortunately,
you.
Yep.
yeah, fortunately, gods are apparently forgetful and forget about it by the next event.
Yeah.
Got other stuff going on.
And their book club is also a wine club.
Oh yes.
So
Yes.
eventually the wine fogged memories.
There are some things that persist longer though.
There's yes.
Yeah, which we spell out. Like, if, for example, if you're like, taking a vow to one of like the small cults or to a god or something.
Some of those be jealous.
Yeah, and then you like break it or you don't do what you say you're gonna do. Those curse conditions, which are spelled out, in the relevant section, they can last longer.
Mm.
Fuck you up.
Yeah, and they're pretty serious. But each one's different because, each god's got a different flavor of punishment for you.
Despair is also interesting to go to because despair is a state in which a character is considered to be a level 0 for all skills, so that's all skills, in which they cannot gain or use hope.
Yeah, despair's nasty.
Mean.
And that's also a state?
It is also a state, yes.
It is.
You can just get rid of that by sinning, and that's great.
Yeah, there's specific ways to do
Yeah,
despair.
despair is nasty. There's also like several ways to
Get
rid of it.
a new point of depravity, which is sinning. Separately insanity, just go crazy. Earn a personal victory.
Yeah.
Or through specific character skills and abilities. There's a bunch of character skills and abilities to do with despair. You can also get it though. We added this to the site because it wasn't on there. You can get it by watching a close friend die, even if you're pretty sure they're gonna come back.
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's traumatic to watch a loved one die.
And you don't know if they're coming back.
Because you don't. You don't.
Yes. You also don't you also have the added stress of if they die, what are they going to lose? Are they going to remember me when they get back?
Exactly.
Mhm.
Because everyone has gone through that situation of a loved one having died and they don't remember you anymore when they come back, and that's hard.
Yeah.
They forgot our 1-year marriage.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oof.
Exactly.
They forgot that we had a son together.
Babe, yeah.
2 days in.
Oh.
That's rough.
Yeah.
Despair is nasty.
I like how we wrote this system that just ended up being really dark and you didn't necessarily
Trauma.
Trauma.
We didn't try to make this a theme in our game at
we,
all.
we actually didn't necessarily. Like someone just fell as it went down a fucking
No,
edge thing.
I've said it before and I'll say it
Orchestrated by
again.
me.
It was surprising how quickly the setting became extra special dark once you took death a little more out of the equation. It's brutal.
We tried to be nice and we accidentally got meaner. Whoops.
Different types of personality. Silver puppets are great for this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like, no, give me more supper.
Oh dear.
Well, while still giving folks more sense of control over the arc of their story, while with death still having consequences.
I think it's actually all of our other questions. So the next one we're going to talk about is Hesha and Nemien.
Yeah.
Hesha first? Sure.
Yeah, let's do
Good.
Hesha
First one on the
first.
list, right?
So Hesha, they are descended from the Hestrali with a mix of the Cherokee in there from old Lion Age. They're kind of like a descendant of those cultures.
Especially with the food.
Yeah, especially with the food. When we were kind of like designing them, we sort of like brought in elements of, I mean, obviously like high seas piratry, but also like some of the Aberan religion and the faith in there. There's like definitely tinges in the society from the heavy Tarantist influence there, as well as the Lazarine influence. We looked at Spanish, Italian, Arabic, Caribbean, those kinds of cultures we kind of went to for inspiration when we were looking at this culture.
Yeah, I also looked a little bit at like India and whatnot when I was thinking about the food specifically.
Yeah.
But also the Lazarine, because the seas are atrocious. I can talk. Atrocious. Because if you die in the ocean, you don't necessarily know you're coming back to a place where people can find you. You're going to res randomly in a location. And as Nicole brought up at our meeting last time, it's really important that you have a vigil, because if they ash, you need to go find them.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when someone's died, they will sit there until like when they're supposed to come back, and if they are still a body, it's like okay. If they're not, like, well, they either have a malefic to deal with, which kind of sucks, or they need to get out there in the water right now because they don't know where they are.
Yeah.
They could be in the middle of the ocean on another ship, you know.
Because we've talked about the idea of someone dying over and over and over again alone in the ocean.
It was actually one of our beta of one of our people lost their sister. They're like,
Yeah.
where are they?
Yeah.
That's a good question to ask, but it just gets sad because you gotta die each time, and then you don't know what you. I guess not you. That person doesn't know what kind of monstrosity they're gonna come back as.
And it's like the Hesha in particular, because of this, because the seas are so unforgiving, they're kind of the culture that most often has to deal with like actual death, like actual loss of loved ones, because that happens. Like people die out at sea and you can't find them again.
And you don't know if it means that they're dead, or if they ended up, captured somewhere or anything. It's this huge unknown. And I think that's also why they push so hard to be like get their reputation, to be remembered, because like this is the only time they have.
It's also
Live
really
balls to the wall.
It's also important that when the calamity happened, Sharab sunk between the waves. There are, it's well known that there are billions of malefic under the ocean. Like just existing on the ocean is a scary freaking place.
Yes. And these folks live there. A lot of Australia sank too.
Yeah.
Like it was a nice little continent piece, and now it's like a bunch of islands. And what is it? Archipelagos, peninsula, all those straits, all those geography terms, little bits of land.
Little hellscapes.
Yeah.
All that sunk. So
Yeah.
it is not better down where it's wetter. Take it from me.
But
Quiet.
When you see crab malefic, that's why.
That would be really fun.
That would be really good.
Yeah.
We should write
Write that down.
Make
Write
a
that
note.
down.
but
Crab
But-
malefic.
yeah, all of that
Two
does
people who are
combine
back to back.
into why they're so bombastic and everything. 'Cause they don't know how long they have, more so than any other culture. So they want to like grab the bull by its horns, live life to the fullest. So they do everything sort of in extremes in a way. And that extends to their relationships and things like that. They're the only culture out there that has sort of a temporary marriage.
Very
where,
forgiving marriage arrangement.
Yeah, where you're married for a year and a day, and at the end of that time, you can sort of re-up for another year. But if you don't, it's not considered a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's just you've done your time. You're moving on to something else. You've done your time.
Yeah, the old ball and chain's finally gone.
Well, it's there's so many different reasons why you could be changing ships. You can't stay together like for
They
various
snore all the
reasons.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but I think that changing ships is a very valid point. It's like, you know, hey, a better job opportunity came up, and like we both want glory, we both want fame. Farewell. You know.
But it's kind of essentially a hand fasting.
Yeah.
Do they even tie?
I don't. They exchange tokens. And
Yeah,
they
they
tokens.
put tokens into a box, as they say.
Gotcha.
Things, and at the end of the year, they pull the tokens out.
Gotcha.
And the cool thing is there's someone holding those tokens. So like I'd go give my token to somebody else, and they come back and like, so there's a witness there who's like, yes, Chantal. What happened? Where's the other one?
And that, I think that kind of desire to be like, to make a name for yourself, like you're talking about, and to be remembered, that made the whole area like a ripe breeding ground for Tarantis. It's like, it's very much out of various cultures. I'd say that like the Tarantist triumvirate, like they've got like the strongest foothold among the Hesha. Lazarines too, because there's just so much death, and atrocities.
Well, it's also terrifying. Someone can guarantee you're not gonna die a terrible death. Maybe you'll take it.
That's one of the Lazarines' like best. But what was the word, like
Enticement.
Yeah, that's their best enticements to like don't you want to join me? You don't have to worry about death anymore. Not the way you are right now.
We kind of have our triumvirate on the brinks. We're doing their lore documents right now.
Yes.
Can I use my pepper spray example about Tarantists?
I forget your pepper spray example.
But you're welcome to.
But you are, yes.
Okay. So, think about Tarantists as you are an incredibly beautiful woman, and you're walking past a line to get into a club.
Oh, that's right.
You don't look at people. You aren't even thinking about other people, and you have 2 bodyguards behind you spraying everyone else with tear gas and pepper spray, and you get into the club for free first because you deserve it.
Who's gonna stop you?
Who's gonna stop you? And you're doing it just because you can.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's better than you.
Tarantulism is the. It's the religion of like, I'm getting away with this by force of my own personality and will. My strength of character, and who will stop me?
Yeah. Although I do enjoy the idea of some more like subtle Tarantis. One of the concepts I had for a Hesha is a Tarantis therapist, where it's like, these drugs will make you feel better. Maybe you should stab him.
Totally. Aren't I magnanimous for giving these to you?
Many different ways to get away with things.
Yeah, you need me. You need me.
We also have a couple other ones actually. People had mentioned they liked. Like you had your treasure hunter.
Oh yeah. I mean, I feel like treasure hunting Hesha is just classic, like total classic. But I also like the idea of playing one of the land-bound Hesha, just because there are some, like not every single Hesha is like out on a boat in the sea. There's actually a bunch of them that are inland, that are like, you know, looked down upon by a lot of society, but they're growing the food that you guys are taking on your ships. Like they're like keeping the borders safe. Like they're fighters, they're brave, and I kind of like the idea of exploring that dichotomy of like, you know, I'm doing a very worthwhile thing with my life, but no one's giving me a name. Like I don't have a ship attached to my name. Like, but you know, maybe I'm gonna go to Cenotaph and like show everybody like what I'm made of, because I'm made of really good stuff. You know, I like that.
I think if I were going to play a Hesha, I would want to dive into that Lazarine idea and explore those billions of Malefic that are under the water, and try to figure out why they're there, why they continue to persist, what's the secret there, what's the power there, and connect all the different dots and get my charts out that no one else is allowed to see. Yes.
Of course.
And yeah, just
To be a deep diver too.
oh, of course, because no one else. I can't trust anyone else to tell me what they found down there.
You should have like a glass bottom boat called something that's fancy. It's like so you're watching the Malefic and you're like, oh, it's just.
Yes.
No, there we are.
All the secrets.
Yes.
I mean, I think dock rats have legerdemain as a speed, and like they have some really nice skills. I think a dock rat who like hasn't fully attached themselves onto a boat yet. Like same kind of thing with the Montana, like not being land, but also like no, I technically have a name. I was raised on a ship, but it's not mine yet.
Totally.
Very cool. I kind of wonder if I could do like another kind of Tarantus concept like you did, but much more overt. Kind of convinced with all their might that they're the hero of the story, but they're just vicious bastards with extreme main character syndrome. That I'm the hero, you're just peons.
So tabletop murder hobo.
Exactly.
For me, I think it would be really fun, and this is, I guess, one of my more lighthearted character ideas, where someone is land-bound and is brought onto a ship and becomes a stitcher, so you're kind of the dorky seasick ship's doctor, but you also have, I don't know, I like the idea of having a family member die over and over again in the ocean really sticks with me. So it's like, I don't want to be here, but I need to find this out for this reason. Oh, these people are... I guess they give me alcohol. Oh, you want a tentacle where?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll do that for you.
I kind of love that, actually. Wait! No, I need the tentacles! Give me the tentacles! Like,
I can't throw those away.
I can recycle those. My God.
Push up your little glasses.
Yeah. Like, do you know how valuable those are?
Oh man, I can almost picture now. It's a darker concept where it's someone who like captures Malefic and holds them in like a little hold or something, because like you don't want the tentacles to go bad, and the best way to keep them fresh is to keep them attached.
Malefic
Dark.
Zookeeper.
Like a menagerie.
I don't know if that works in our system.
Yeah.
I'd have to look at it again. So that's an interesting idea.
Yeah. Malefic entities. But I mean, yeah, like I love that idea. That's fun.
I also like the idea of like I'm capturing Malefic because I don't know which one's my sister.
I mean, Lazarines have a ritual that lets them trap Malefic.
That's true.
That's tragic.
That's great.
Making my chest ache a little bit.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
tragic.
I can talk about sisters. I don't have one, so I'm just like, hey, sisters are right good.
That's awesome.
We should talk about their sins.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's talk about their sins,
So the sins are weakness and dishonor.
which is rough, actually.
It's a-
That's a rough combo. They're kind of a culture of contradictions in a way. Like,
I think you mentioned before that like that makes them so they're both like fiercely independent but also really dependent. Because
Yes.
like weakness means you can't be downed or helpless. You can't suffer flawed or weak leadership. And you can't admit defeat or failure in front of another. And then dishonor is failing to respond to an insulting kind, turning down a duel or challenge, or disrespecting a peer.
yeah, which is like the worst. And yeah, they are a people that super prize their independence. However, it's also ingrained in their society that they need each other. Like, you know, they're on these. They're one of the cultures that takes like mental health very seriously, because they're on these ships with tons of other people, and that's like your family, and you super need one another.
Yeah.
And so like there is kind of that, and that's where those sins come
Yeah.
from.
One of the things we wrote into their lore was that idea that if you're focused on everybody else's mental health, you need to have a heart buddy who is your, you know, I'm having issues, let me talk.
Yeah.
And that way you take care of each other, even if you're also taking care of everybody else.
Yeah.
You can't have your psychiatrist go bad, otherwise.
Yeah.
And there's also the fact that because you're so interdependent, that's why you can suffer weak leadership. Because if you have someone who really is not meant to be a captain leading you, that costs lives, that costs glory, that costs so many things. But it's a dangerous situation to try and get rid of them, because because like depending on how that shakes out, you might end up disrespecting a peer if they win.
Yeah.
On that note, I think that sin, that deadly sin for dishonor, is going to be so interesting for Hesha players in Cenotaph, because peer,
Yeah.
it's such a poorly defined word on purpose, I think.
Yes.
Because, you know, you're a ship captain, you don't have any peers on your ship, but you're in Cenotaph, that person leads their band, or that person over there led the caravan, that person over there is just a fucking awesome paladin. Are they your peers? Do you think they are?
Yep,
Yeah.
because they're leaders.
Yeah.
And it's a serious sin. It's a very serious sin.
And it becomes this issue of like of this conversation, like whether you justify it to yourself, whether it's not. Yeah. So.
Yeah, because again, I want to emphasize like the sins are there also like to create story. Like I personally, if I was playing a character, like sinning wouldn't scare me, because now I've yes, I've got the depravity on my sheet. Like I've got it. It's a bad thing, but now I'm gonna go like atone, or I'm gonna go like justify this to myself, or I'm gonna like go insane and get a therapy session. There's like to me, it's kind of part of the arc of my character.
A sin shouldn't be any more difficult than an injury. It should be thought of like something that's to be fixed, or not.
Yeah.
But that it's something that everyone's expected to do all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why like sometimes people take the flaw in honor code where they like choose a sin and they're like I will never do this, and that's extra rough because now you're kind of like double punished for doing the sin, and so like more power to you for doing it, but like
It means you get the depravity, but it's also a personal failure.
exactly. So it's anyway.
That'll
That-
be
that's a
outside
side.
when you do that.
Yeah, that's a little footnote side.
We
note.
will
It's
let
like-
you do it. We will give you the warning every time.
Yes.
Mhm.
Be cautious with that.
You are allowed.
Yeah.
Our other group we want to talk about is the Nemien, and I think they're nifty.
They are.
I just think they're nifty.
Yeah.
I think they're one of my favorite cultures, honestly.
Yeah. They're like we went to Mongolian, Bedouin, Turkish, also some like Middle Eastern, Persian, Arabic cultures for inspiration for them.
Romani.
Yeah, Romani for sure. Yeah.
I went a bit broader when I was writing some of the art, mostly because I love shadow puppets so much. I know they're technically Javanese, but they felt like they fit.
You pulled in some of that.
I think we looked and there was some overlap in our areas,
Yeah.
but also we're making a culture.
Javanese,
Yeah.
Indonesian too, don't they?
Yeah.
Indonesia, yeah.
it's important that
Indonesian, Javanese,
they're in.
It's part
They're
of the same thing.
It's part of the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay, my geography sometimes is
Well,
sucky.
it's Indonesia and then
Yeah, and then
Java's
Java's with
part of
Yeah.
it.
infinite.
It's important to
They're
note
all
the
archipelagos.
archipelagos. It's important to note though that their entire civilization would be before below the waves. Their initial only city is a cairn. It started out as a memorial to everyone they lost, and then they eventually became a city. Like they are haunted by their memory.
And it's like a secret city.
Mhm.
Like they don't like in the culture pact anyway. We go to great lengths to be like they don't bring outsiders there. Like it's a very very holy special place to them.
Yeah, they have pilgrimages to go there.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone is expected to do at least once in their life.
Do they open like once a year and we're like, yeah, we'll trade with you outside the city walls?
Nope.
Okay, I thought that was
No.
a long-time thing.
I mean they're constantly trading. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
I think most outsiders don't even know where it is.
Or
Correct.
maybe you don't even know what
that
it
it
is.
exists.
Yeah, I would actually say that most outsiders do not know it exists because for as far as the world's concerned, like the Nemien are just constantly moving because they are, like they are just a nomadic society because that's kind of the secret to their survival all these centuries is that they know their way around and they don't stay in one place too long.
But they do have gardens. They do have a city.
They do.
They're
They-
so fucking badass because like they fight their way through places no one else goes.
Yeah, I also kind of not just me, but like looking at like old like Scythian culture, like that was at least for one of the tribes that was inspiration because they're so rad.
Horse bows are really cool.
Yeah, horse bows are super cool.
Yeah, for the tribe that I put together, I was honestly looking. It's one of the original, like from the old culture packet. So it's like, how would they change?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I just blanked on the name.
It's okay.
Korma?
Korma?
Yeah,
Korma.
Korma.
Yep.
Yes,
Mhm.
Korma.
Mhm.
Because it's like they were on that border, so like, how was it to watch on one side of you, like everything like fall and all of these tribes and are like rushing through your territory? And,
Yeah.
like, how does that change you?
Yeah, because it's like the world sort of exploded a very, very, very long time ago, but that leaves a very lasting impression on how a society kind of like evolves over
I
time.
mean, how many of us have cried over the loss of the Library of Alexandria?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh
and
my
then
God. Yes. Yeah. Like, yeah.
and like that
I'm gonna
happened
do
a
it right
long
now.
time ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
We did want to talk about some of why you might play an Nemien game, because we've had that question a lot, and we wanted to say there's lots of different reasons.
Yes, because they are one of the cultures that has the what's the sin called? Where
Defilement.
The defilement.
Which is
sin.
a good question. So, which is unchaperoned association with eligible others, giving away cultural artifacts to outsiders or destroying them, or marrying or reproducing with outsiders.
Yeah. Yeah.
The venial one's is the one people are worried about.
Yeah, that they and the Sal Gothic are the two cultures that are it's basically like a sin to mingle too much, like you were outlining with other cultures, because they are the two cultures that are so we've got the right of it, and if we dilute ourselves too much with these other cultures that don't have the right of it, like we're in danger. And so yeah, like it's a very valid question. Like, so what are you doing in Cenotaph?
They also have bias, which is taking sides in the affairs of other outsiders, materially supporting one side or another in a dispute, or refusing to accept surrender.
Yeah, they share that with the Forgotten Ones
Mhm.
also.
But there's a lot of different reasons they could be here, like sacrifice time. It means that, one of the ways they survive isn't just traveling, it's also learning a little bit about what other people are up to, so you can report back to your people and they can be abreast of shifts and changes and things that might
Yeah.
affect their survivability as
The
a
reason why it's a perk is because we
Okay.
expect that it's normal. Like
Yeah.
you should they're sending scouts out all the time to do this. It's
Yeah.
pretty common.
And it's not like wicked because you don't actually get the sin for it. So nothing to count against your insanity cap.
But you can also use Victorian chaperone rules. Like,
Yes.
for example, two sisters coming in together, you guys aren't unchaperoned. You can hire a guard,
Yep.
and you shouldn't get too close. It probably should be same sex. Or, I'm sorry, not same sex. It should be same of interest. So it should not be the sex that you're interested in.
Yes.
I need to be very particular because,
Or
because
someone that it would just not be foreseeable for you to get into a relationship
exactly
with.
someone you're related to.
Uneligible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
yeah.
fellow bisexuals, we're fucked.
No. You can hire.
You better have a chaperone.
Or you have your old maiden aunt who you've hired, or someone who's who's already married to someone else, who's
Or
chaperoning.
one of the Farragon, because you wouldn't possibly marry one of those.
Yeah, or someone who's sworn an oath of chastity.
Or delightful eunuch.
Or you're
I want my guards to be
They can be hot and asexual.
That's a scandalous situation
yeah,
right there.
your bisexuals have to hook up with your asexuals. So they're
Then everybody's safe.
Yes.
I have so many friends that can help out with this.
nice. But also you can just take the sin. It's a venial sin. Like
Yeah.
you're like, I'm gonna be wicked for this. I like hanging out with hot guards. I'm sorry.
Sue me.
You could have lost your caravan. There's always you get ostracized, which is a fun story.
You could be married.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then your spouse is off someplace else.
If you're a group concept too, like you could just be like your own little traveling group. Like maybe your caravan got attacked. Maybe like you got separated. Like there's all kinds of things that you could work out why you're in Cenotaph. Like
Maybe the seer you were wandering with is like, no, I must stay here for the vision.
Yeah, well,
the
yes,
vision.
it
It's
may-
like, we've been here for 6 months.
Yeah.
How much longer do we need to be here for the vision?
Well, maybe
the stars don't operate on your timeline.
Well, maybe the mission's more important.
Yeah.
Like, I have this sin I'm getting, but it's more important that I understand why I keep seeing things.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you guys want to talk about what your favorite concepts are? Because we all have really interesting ones. Sorry. So there's a power in we reread Sacred Henna, and in Sacred Henna, the priest who applies it to someone in a ritual knows if they sin. And I wanted to play like a pervy magus. I'm like, no, tell me all your sin. What did he do? No more details, please.
And what
Please.
position were you in?
What position you were in? Yeah, no. What did he look like?
Demonstrate.
How hot was the
Rewind.
Rewind.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
And like, so
Can
like
you describe the flavor of the wine?
let me give you
as the
let me give you
John
some more
described?
henna so I know. Let me give you some more henna so I know exactly when I need to come back.
Oh my gosh.
Make a note.
Yeah.
So good. Oh my
Lovely
god.
and vile.
Oh my god.
Need more henna for this person.
Yeah. I really would love to play like an archery warrior personally. I just think that you know fighting from range distance is like made for the Nemien, and I would just love to be that badass with a bow. That sounds really fun to me.
And me, I would love to play one of the seers, probably part of the Oma tribe, because they're so fun.
They are.
And be one of the ones that's focused primarily on the past. I'm not entirely sure what they're obsessed with. I think it would be fun if they're like someone important to them disappeared and they're trying to figure out where they went, so they're just like delving until they can figure it out.
That's cool.
I think the concept I would most want to play is kind of modeled off of like the Hebrew judges, and just not the Samson variety. but
Sure.
More like the well,
Deborah.
I'm here, and I'm not taking any sides. I need to hear what everyone has to say, and I'm gonna help each of you understand what everyone else wants to get out of this, and I'm gonna hopefully get you all to a situation where you're all happy and content. Oh no, you're not. I'm gonna try again.
Just
I'm
splitting that
not
baby.
picking sides because I'm just explaining
Yeah.
everyone's like perspective to each other.
You're gonna be
Translating.
frustrated every single game.
Uh-huh.
That's so good.
It would be just so much fun of like going person to person, trying to get them to understand the opposite point of view, and knowing that they're not going to.
And you're gonna have some of those games where where you sin, where you're
Yeah.
suddenly like, come on, Phil! Oh my god!
You don't even care about the bread.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Like,
And
you
you're
don't need to kill that person. You just want a fight right now.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Eat a Snickers and get.
Yes.
You're not you when you're hungry.
Yeah, you're just like, sorry. Sorry.
Oh man. Oh.
Do you guys know what kind of Nemiens you guys would like to play?
I really like the interplay of water mages in their culture. So I would probably want to play simultaneously with just the kind of interplay between how both their religion says don't rely on magic a lot, but also it's like integrated into the whole deal, and kind of trying to balance that like a really religious water mage, but also given that time magic has disappeared, kind of maybe having a theory that happening has something to do with people dying over and over again, and trying to explore
I
the
wonder if
magical tethers.
If they like grouped togetger with like a seer and they kept on trying to dig further and further back to get to what happened.
Just go completely insane.
Completely crazy.
I don't even think most water mages in Age of Ashes would even like have a concept that time magic's a thing. Like that's like so long ago.
It's so old.
Yeah.
They, yeah. But they might be searching for it. Like they're like, I heard this was
the
once a
upper
thing.
echelons
Sure.
or like,
Yeah,
yeah,
like-
we've
like
got
I-
records.
I was just told that I think that the bubbles. By the way, there is one city in the Nemien packet that's not in the Nemien packet. It's actually on the mage packet.
Yes.
That's
And
right.
it's worth looking there. So it's worth looking at that as for additional information.
That's right. That's right.
Because it's super secret.
Super
Yeah.
secret. That's why we have it on the site.
Yeah.
That's why we have it on the site.
Hey, you need to know what's secret so you can like say about
It's
it.
true. It's true.
Yeah. Yeah, because we're kind of like a game that is a game of secret information in terms of lore. And so like we're kind of trying to like thread the needle between like putting up on the website all kinds of information that people within the world could know. You know, and you can kind of choose if your character knows it or not. But you know, but we're holding back like, you know, stuff about lore and history and things for you to discover in game. So we're kind of trying to like thread that balance. So basically, if it's up on the site, it's like, you know, it's
You
some
could
of-
have heard about it. Yeah.
yeah, like some of the stuff up there is intended to be like this is secrety stuff though. Like this is special
Yeah.
to this culture, or this is like something that mages know. But you know,
It's possible you could though, but be responsible in your decisions about what you're aware of.
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And or have a reason for it. You're like,
Yeah.
I collect folk tales, and I know folk tales about this ocean city that's in a bubble.
Yeah, exactly. And it's very valid for other players to be like, I have no idea what you're
I
talking
don't know, I
about.
went old time
You are
radio.
insane.
Yeah, like that's bananas. So, like, yeah.
Also a good reason for, you know, someone who owns that secret, who has a right to that secret, to suddenly want to stab you a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
are you talking
exactly.
about the bubble city?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
No,
That's-
it's
Would you
that's-
like to come to the water
City.
with me so we can look for the bubble city?
Yeah. Yeah.
First
How
rule
dare
of
you
Bubble
talk
City
about the
is
Bubble
don't
City?
talk about the Bubble City.
and then that's kind of like especially in the Forgotten Ones packet, like, and we'll go into Forgotten Ones, but like they, you know, we have their cities and stuff on the map, we have the stuff in the culture packet, but they're super secretive, and so like just, yeah, be cognizant of that as you are making your character backgrounds.
We wanted to give you the options to do
Yeah.
it, so and we didn't want to have to answer a billion tickets about what you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for my Nemien concept, I guess this would it's kind of started as more of a cool idea in terms of just story, so I don't know what powers I'd choose. But I'd like the idea of being a garden tender who's blind but is not a seer and is obsessed with the cosmos because they've heard about them but they can't see them.
Has your garden been destroyed and now you're in Senator?
Don't do this to me.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And you gotta remake it.
Oh,
Oh,
those
no.
gardens are like generations of work. Oh,
You
now
were
I gotta
able
go
to save
plant
a
my
couple
lambs here.
seeds before you escaped.
Ooh, that's rough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I have the one. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a rare flower or something.
You have like one little thing in a pot.
Oh my
You have
goodness.
to make sure it
So you
survives.
don't
That's a magical item.
you don't let anyone else take it. You're just like no.
yeah, that's your like special touchstone item. Like
Yeah.
that little sapling, that little seed.
You
Oh, no.
you can carry around a potted plant. It's real cute.
Yeah.
Got a little backpack so you can run away from fights.
Yeah. No.
Plant! Don't worry, it's okay.
Don't you dare touch baby Groot.
That is everything on our list that we want to talk about. It has been about an hour, so.
Okay. Well, let's there were a couple questions.
Oh, that's true.
Yes.
Just to make sure we're still recording. Yes.
Yeah.
We're still recording.
Okay.
That would-
Spice.
oh.
All right. Cool.
No one did anything to it.
And we kind of like.
It's
If not, I'd be like,
gentle
no.
breathing. Like,
Wait, we've talked for an hour.
Yeah, but ask questions.
Yeah, we
We have to
did.
do it all again.
No. Well, more wine.
More wine.
Speaking of,
Are you actually getting up to your
I can get one for
Will
everybody.
you get me
Oh,
some
bye.
wine?
You just bring the wine bottle.
I could
Oh,
bring
yeah,
a wine
there's
bottle.
bottles. There's 2 of them.
Wisdom.
But this is an open crowd.
That's true. One is not opened, but it
Oh.
can be.
think
We
we
have
may have to
technology.
open- Yeah, we may need to open the second bottle.
Yes.
May I have my
Wine.
wine
You may have your
glass?
glass. When I was
May I
leaving
try
home, I
the
thought about
second
bringing a
one?
different bottle.
Oh my god.
And I was like, nah, Chantel will have enough.
Yeah.
Get the last.
Yes. No, other bottle.
Other bottle.
bottle.
Yes, my liege.
Can you just put that on the table? I'm your DD.
Thank you.
Easiest question was what time does game end? It ends. at
Noon.
Never.
Although there is frequently a little bit of a game wrap where people chat and talk
Yeah,
about.
so yeah, game ends at noon, and then we talk about stuff, and we give you some announcements.
And clean up. Please
and then
clean up.
Yeah, and then we really hope cleanup is a glory-earning opportunity.
It is.
So yeah, we hope that you help us clean up.
It's also an honor opportunity, and that's not a
There's an
system. It's not a thing. Honor is just, me not hating you.
I thought you said otter, but it's also an otter opportunity because apparently there's a river otter on Middle
There
Ground.
is.
Yay.
There is. I need to tell all y'all. There is an otter on Middle Ground.
Just one? Is he lonely?
Well,
Well,
really
he's
big.
huge.
Oh, okay.
Like he's so big.
He's like 3 feet across. 3 feet long.
Yeah, he's like
3 feet across. Yeah.
he's like yes. He's rules. He's this wide.
He's just like a
Yes.
gigantic catfish.
Yeah, no, like I have, so full disclosure, I have not seen said otter with my eyes. Wolf has seen said otter,
Oh, okay.
and I believe Wolf
But he's not over
because he
there.
also had a witness there.
Yeah.
And he actually called me immediately. I was in the middle of like a work meeting, and I hear this voicemail that's like, "Baby, otter, there's a baby." And so yeah,
Yes.
so there is an otter,
Okay.
and beavers too. Actually,
Ooh.
yeah,
I've never seen the beavers. I hear the frogs.
yeah, the
Yeah,
frogs.
the frogs are loud.
The I believe
otter eats the frogs.
The otter is after the frogs
And the snakes.
And snakes, yeah.
Good.
Mhm.
We should encourage more otters
Yeah.
in
I
lots of
did
ways.
not know they ate. I guess they're river otters. They don't have oysters to
Maybe.
crack.
Yeah.
Fish
They
and
eat fish.
crayfish.
They eat fish, and they also eat
Yeah.
amphibians.
Yeah.
Do you have
My
crayfish
liege.
in your river?
I bring wine.
We get, it's actually a salmon stream. Thank you.
Okay.
That's
What an
right.
odd color.
Indeed.
It's red.
Well,
We're
but
all
it was like
playing
it's
mud.
kind of like a light little red though.
And it's a pleasant red.
I have to try.
Well,
I did not have to.
All right.
Oh.
Thank you, Jameson.
Of course, mommy.
Oh.
Would you be upset if I introduced crayfish or crawdads to your river?
You might have to check the requirements. There's some
Yeah.
because we do have fish and wild, or I say we. Chantel has fish and wildlife that come off to
It's
our
the
property.
collective we, but yeah. So I mean, in theory, I'm not opposed.
Okay.
The have to check.
The state, the feds might be opposed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like I mean, I like to eat them.
Me too.
You
That's
know.
why I want to introduce them.
Delicious.
Just that idea of, oh yes, we're going to go to the river and get enough crawdads to have to boil for dinner.
Oh my goodness, this sounds like a great
Uh-huh.
idea.
Ooh. And then there was a question about brawl.
Yeah,
And-
there's
and-
also a question about gathering.
Okay. And we can go into brawl more with our videos, but but in broad terms, brawl is super useful in several situations. Maybe you've been disarmed. It is actually rather easy in our system for people to be disarmed because it's a weapon quality. So if someone lands that hit on you and you're disarmed, sure you can go after your weapon and try to get that, or you could whip out your brawl skills.
Just punch a guy.
Yeah, and use that as a backup.
He already threw his disarmed potato at you.
Yeah, it's also really good in a group fighting concept. If you're the guy that's wielding sword and you've got the enemy's attention, and I'm out back sapping them, getting them in a grab, they're helpless now.
Yeah.
Or alternately, maybe you don't want to use deadly force.
Mhm.
Maybe you want to be in a fight, and because honestly, especially in Age of Ashes, killing someone doesn't necessarily solve the problem.
Nah.
So maybe you want to have a variety of options available to you that are non-lethal.
Maybe your honor code says, I'm not going to kill a person.
Yeah.
Maybe you're part of a Gothic gang that likes to kidnap people off the street
But-
and turn them into potatoes.
But brawl's also really useful for control. Push.
Yes.
Push is its first thing. And
Push is so good.
Push is one of the only defenses that also can kind of sort of be used in a different way to control the flow of place, because it makes someone move back.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, it's the defense I want to have on my character all the time, because you're in my space. Well, that's social, whatever. I just push, no.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a
or
good
just
point.
even in a combat, like I push you, get away from me. Now I have a chance to get back in the stance I need.
And it's important that when you're in a grab, which is the next level up, they can't use anything but light weapons.
Yes.
So the grab successfully lands. They can't. They either have to either use a push or they have to use a light weapon, which means they have to get to you.
Yeah,
It's
If you are a light weapons fighter, you grab someone, they only have a long sword, you could stab the shit out of them.
stab,
They can't
stab,
do
stab.
anything.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
also
Rogue's
Unless
dream.
they can
The
also
rogue's dream, and there's a big variety of things you can do with the skills
it's
too.
one of the more variety of things you can do. There's
Yeah.
stun defense. There's answers to like there's other strikes. There's also like in the heavy side, there's some breaking you're doing with people's bodies.
Yes. Yeah.
Give me names.
Getting memes, like I think there's a couple. Isn't there like a weekend or two in there where you're like which is
Fresh
nasty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to go take a nap now.
There's also that's actually really important. There's not a lot of things that do blackouts. And sometimes the most useful thing you can do is knock that person out, tie them up, and then ask them questions. Like, blackouts actually I mean, it doesn't last for forever, but it lasts long enough that you can do stuff.
Yeah.
Slap those manacles on.
Like I want to be clear. Like we didn't intend for Brawl to be
correlating
like
these parts.
you are the Brawl guy at a sword fight.
Yeah.
Like you're. You
can be, but you'd be super hooper high.
Yeah, like
do stitching.
when it's like single solitary brawl guy and that's all you do like against like weapons guy, like brawl guy is probably gonna lose because I mean you brought your fists to a sword fight, but I mean it is meant to be a very versatile skill set for all these situations that we're talking about.
If you're a stitcher who can't afford anesthesia, Brawl.
Yep.
Yeah, if you're a Coralite who's just found the arm you want to steal, Brawl.
If you want to make people just scared to look at you, Brawl. Because seriously, there's one where you can actually like, I get you close, I get you to grab, it's like fear. You're like because now you're gonna grab me using combat skills.
This is like an advertisement for Brawl. Brawl.
When in doubt, Brawl.
Yeah.
Also, do you want to carry somebody at full speed off the battlefield? Brawl.
Ask your doctor about Brawl.
Side effects may include.
Yeah.
Bring us your fist and sword fight.
Although you
black
do
belts.
need a Brawl buffer.
Yes, it's very important.
Yeah.
Please do not touch. Please do not touch other people without their consent in a combat thing. Brawl is represented by a buffer, and that's just so that we don't touch each other.
Yep.
Because we found in testing it was really hard not to grab in a way that wasn't super awkward.
Yeah. Plus, there's kind of like that animal part of your brain that's like that reacts poorly to someone like rushing at you with like open hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also the fact that like sometimes people try to like hit your hand away, and actually getting hit directly in your hand
Yeah.
is a lot more
Not
dangerous
fun.
than someone hitting the Brawl buffer in your hand.
Exactly.
So safety. Also, you just don't want to be grabbed. I understand that. I don't want to be grabbed.
I don't want to be grabbed.
Yeah.
And so that's
Don't
why.
touch people without their consent.
Especially in heated combat, it's like you don't want. I feel like myself, I don't want to be grabbed in heated combat, especially.
So gathering.
Gathering. So
Gathering.
the question on gathering was how often do things come out? Like green beans.
Green beans.
But like the
Green
answer is that
bees?
we actually have
Bees?
bees. We have a formula.
Add it to the crabs.
And our formula basically determines how likely you are to get a certain thing. It is not in the item itself. The QR code's not going to necessarily say this is a green bee. It might in some cases, but generally it's not going to be like this is a green bee. It's like this is an item that's this range of items and this rarity. And depending on what you actually draw is how often it shows up.
Megan, are you saying green bee
I am.
or green bean?
Green bees, actually.
Okay.
Oh, yay.
We do have
Okay.
bees.
Okay.
They are most of our upper level herbalism things, our weird rare ones are insects.
A lot of them are insects.
Okay.
Catch me keeping them green bees.
The Oprah gif is in my head right now. Bees.
Bees.
Yes.
Not the bee.
But I'm gonna make up a number. I'm completely making this up. Say you had your ability was 20, 20, 20. Or it doesn't make they do 5. So it's out of 100. Say you had 20, 20, 20, 20, 20. If you pulled an herb, you would have a 20% chance of getting anything from any of those items that was in the stuff. Everything should be out there. You will never go to an event unless we have put a scarcity on it. That you will never go to an event where you don't have a possibility in a very specific item. But we also want to make it so that most of our stuff doesn't necessarily require very specific items, especially with herbalism. Herbalism has so many herbs, that's why what we do for most of them, and this is not in the weird, the green bee level, but more in the common, uncommon level, you can just use an herb that has a euphoric. You don't have to find lavender.
Yeah.
Most folks that need weird components are cultists and mages.
And there's less of them, so
Yeah.
you're more likely to get individual items of them. We try to make sure that the balance is a little bit better there.
Yeah.
We
We
also-
actually kind of changed some of that stuff in our rituals. Like first draft, a lot of our rituals was like, this calls for lavender, and then we kind of like actually that's probably too hard for people. Like it should be Yeah, an herb with soporific quality.
We also want to make sure we introduce specific rituals and spells that let you get a specific item.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why those are in the Makatra specifically in some other places.
Yes.
Because we wanted, if you do need a specific weird item. It's also important to note that we do have traders in game, and there are powers by which you can make sure that either through organizations
Yep.
or through caravans, you get the items you need.
Did you want to-
Oh, I did want to talk about organizations, but I think,
Yeah.
we're a little bit done. We made it
Okay.
next time.
Yeah, we are going a little long.
Mhm.
That's true.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Next time.
next
What
time.
Organizations.
Organizations.
Organization.
And archaeology.
Gives us
Right.
things
You're all
to talk
wonderful
about.
people.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure.
Crabs.